Good morning, everyone. Myself, Mrs. Shakapuram Saraswati. Today, we are going to study about the poem Silver, which is from Unit 3, 3.1. This is the first poem of this unit. Students, we hear many things and stories about the sun and moon. The sun is a big star, and the moon is the satellite of the earth. We like starry nights with moonlight. There are so many stories and songs about moon and its moonlight. We like the full moon day because on a full moon day the moon looks very beautiful and it shines like a silver. The reflection of moonlight is silver in color, and under a starry and moonlight night everything looks silvery and shiny. Now here in this poem we will be studying today the line-wise explanation, the word meanings and theme of the poem. Now coming to the title of the poem, Silver. Here, silver, the poet is referring to the moonlight. The poet depicts all the things at night look silver due to the moonlight. Here the poet has given the examples of animate and inanimate things such as dog, doves, mouse, fish, window panes, etc. Everything is referred to silver. Now, here silver has different connotations such as color, currency, and precious value. Silver is not just a color, but it has got the precious value. So, when the on a full moon day, when the moonlight falls on everything, wherever the moon is moving, the moonlight is reflecting the silver color, which is also a precious metal. Now, coming to the poet of this poem, the poem is written by Walter de la Mare. Now, Walter de la Mare was born in England. He was an English poet born in 1873. He was famous for his English poems and he was also a short story writer. And he has written many good novels for both adults and children. But he was mainly known for his poems and short stories for children. The poem Silver was published in 1930 in a book called Peacock Pie. Now in England, a program was held in 1995. In 1995, it was called as the Bookworm Program, where the nation's favorite poems were voted. In that poll, Silver Poem was voted number 63 out of 100 poems. So we can say that Walter de la Mare's Silver Poem is one of the famous poems of the time. See, here is the photo of Walter de la Mare. Now let us start with our poem Silver. Students, first I will recite the poem for you because you all know that recitation, whenever we study the poem, the first and foremost important thing is the recitation of the poem, how we read the poem. Silver, slowly, silently, now the moon walks the night in her silver shoes. This way and that she bears and sees silver fruit upon silver tree. One by one the casements catch her beams beneath the silvery thatch. Couched in his kennel like a log, with paws of a silver sleeps the dog. From their shadowy coat the white breast peeps of doves in silver feathered sleep. A harvest mouse goes scampering by with silver claws and silver eye, and moveless fish in the water gleam by silver reeds in the silver stream. Again, the name of the poet is Walter de la Mare. Students, you should always remember the name of the poet because it is very important while we write the appreciation of the poem. Now we'll go for the stanza-wise explanation of the poem. Now, when we are going for the stanza-wise explanation and stanza-wise meaning of the poem, again I'll be reading the stanzas one by one and I'll be explaining the hard words and also the meaning and theme of the poem. The first stanza, slowly, silently, now the moon walks the night in her silver shoon. Here, the moon is compared and the moonlight is compared with a beautiful woman who is walking in the night in her silver shoon. Now, here the shoon means shoes. Shoon means shoes. This way and that she peers and sees silver fruit upon silver trees. Students, here the poet has compared the moon with a beautiful woman, as I told you. The poet says that the moon or the moonlight walks. How is it walking? Slowly, silently. And it sees, it peeps. Peeps means it looks, to look. Peeps, to look. Stare, to look. As the moonlight is moving upward, it looks, it stares at the trees and the fruits on the trees that appear silver due to the moonlight. Now, why the tree and the fruits on the trees are looking silvery in color? Because the moon moves above them. When the moonlight, in the starry night, what happens when the moonlight is moving among the clouds? Sometimes the moon is hiding behind the clouds. When it is coming out of the clouds, its moonlight spreads everywhere. So whatever comes under the under the moonlight, for example, here the trees and the fruits upon the trees, they are looking silver because the moonlight is spreading on them. Now here the poet is trying to express the beauty of the landscape which shines brightly in moonlight. Now we'll move. See, here the silver tree. The tree is looking silver and the fruits upon the trees are also looking silver because of the moonlight. Now we'll move towards the second stanza. One by one the casements catch her beams beneath the silvery thatch. Couched in his kennel like a dog, with paws of silver sleeps the dog. Okay, couched in his kennel like a log, with paws of silver sleeps the dog. As the moon starts to move upward, here in this stanza, as the moon starts to move upward, is reflecting on the window. See here the house, the moonlight is reflecting on the windows. Here casement. See in the second stanza, casement means the windows of the house. Her beams, beams means her light, the moonlight beneath the silvery thatch. Thatch means again the roof. Here is the roof of the house. So, as the moon starts to move upward in the sky, its light is reflecting on the window. Not only the windows, but also the roofs of the houses. Now, on the roof of the houses, the roof is covered with the snow already. So, when the moonlight is falling on the roof of the house and the windows, the whole house and the houses under the sky, they are all shining brightly like a silver. Now, the next line, South in his kennel, like a log, with paws of silver feeds the dog. Now, at night, the dog is in his kennel. Now, kennel is the dog house. The small house in which the dog is, and it looks like a dog. Wood. Now, the piece of wood. The dog is sleeping in his house, the kennel. In the darkest night, it is looking like the house along with the dog. It is looking like a piece of wood. The dog is also looking like the piece of the wood. But has the lady means who's the lady here? The moonlight. As the lady means the moonlight starts moving upward again in the sky. It is coming out of the clouds. Again, the moonlight falls on the fall of the sleeping dog. Now, the legs means here the legs of the dog. When the moonlight falls on the paw of the sleeping dog, his paws are silver. The dog's legs and the paws are also silver. First, in the dark night, the dog was in his kennel and it looked like the whole house of the dog, and the dog was really like a piece of wood. But when the moon falls on the paw of the dog paws are looking silver. Means moonlight is everywhere. The silver color is everywhere because of the moonlight. The moonlight makes everything silver. And here silver is just isn't color. But no, that it is a precious metal. It is the moonlight. It is shining and it is showing the value of the silver. Now moving to the third stanza. From the shadowy coast, the white breast sea, above his feathered sleep. Here, Walter de la Mare describes the nest. Shadowy coat. Shadowy means shadow. Some shadow which is falling under coat. Coat here means the shelter of the bird. Like nest in which the bird stays. The poet describes the nest which is under the shadow of something. From that shadowy nest, the doves which are referred as the white breast. Here the birds are referred as the white breast. They slept, but their white feathers, they are sleeping in the nest. But the white feathers, their breast, are visible because of the moonlight. Now, here in that the birds are sleeping, but we can clearly see the birds' feathers and its best because the moonlight is also falling on the nest and the doves. The moonlight makes their feathers silver and their sleep is also silver. The poet further says The doves sleep because silver means they are sleeping soundly. They are sleeping very nicely. The next stanza. A harvest mouse goes scampering by. A harvest mouse goes scampering by. Scampering means moving quickly. With silver claws and silver eyes, and moveless fish in the water gleam by silver reeds in a silver stream. Now here, the poet decides the mouse. A harvest mouse. Harvest mouse means the mouse which moves and stays in the field. That is called a harvest mouse. It stays and lives in the field, and when it becomes night, the mouse comes out of its hole. The mouse comes out of its hole, and it moves around the crop to eat the crop. Now, how the mouse is walking in the crop? It is camping. Camping means it is moving quickly. You know how the mouse moves. It moves quickly so that nobody can see. And it is moving quickly and silently from one place to another. And in the darker night, we can't see the mouse in the field, but it's silently and quickly doing its work, eating food. But when the moonlight captures, but as the moon comes out of the clouds, and the moonlight captures the harvest mouse. When the moonlight falls on the field, even the mouse is visible, and the moonlight makes its claws, legs, claws, small notes in the claws, and eyes silver. And the moonlight is falling on the claws of the mouse and also the eyes of the mouse. And in the moonlight, claws and eyes both are silver and sharp. And moveless now and moveless fish in the water leaves by silver leaves in a silver stream. Now here the poet is describing about the fish which is in the water. It is not moving, it is stable at one place in the water. And still the fish is visible in the water. It is moveless, it is motionless in a small stream of water. Although it's night, it is visible. Though it is night, the fish is visible in the water. The water in the stream is shining because of the reflection of the moonlight. Here you can see the moon is full moon day, and the water in the stream, we can see the reflection of the moon falling in it. And near the water, near the stream of the water, there are trees. The small trees near the waterbed that reefs are various reefs. The reefs, the plants, the trees, the water, in the water. These all things we can see they are shining in silver color. Wherever the moonlight is falling, everything we can see that look like silver. Now we can say that Silver by Walter D. Lamet describes the impact that the silver light of the moon has on everyday objects and pictures. existing within the darkened night. Here, poet Walter de la Mare trying to tell us, trying to give the message that the moon has a lot of impact on our everyday life, not only on our everyday life, but also the objects and creatures which are existing in the darkened night. The moonlight makes the night bright, shine. It makes the night shine. It makes the night beautiful. The starry night with a full moon in it is so beautiful that we can't describe in words. Now, after the stanza-wise explanation, again I would like to take a look about the hard words of the poem. So you can take a screenshot of the hard words you want. Here in the first stanza, from the first stanza, shoe means shoes, pairs to look, casements, window, beam, a line of light, thatch, roof, kennel, doghouse, coat, nest, scampering, moving quickly, gleam, shine brightly, reeds, plants near water. Now, these are the hard words from the poem, which you can take a screenshot and study later on. While reciting the poem, just remember that you should read it with proper pronunciation and intonation, which is very, very important, students. Now come to rhyming words in the poem. Rhyming words in the poem. Again, just take the poem then, so that we understand rhyming words. Rhyming words, students, you all what are rhyming words. You can all easily make rhyming words. So let us consider the poem is having rhyming words or not. Slowly, silently, now the moon walks the night in her silver shoe. Here the rhyming words are first, second line. The first line is rhyming with the second line. So moon and shoe, they're the rhyming words. Next is tree, catch, thatch, log, dog, peep, sleep, buy, eye, gleam, stream. These are the see, here is the slide. So you can take the screenshot of this. Moon, tune, sees, trees, catch, thatch, see, sleep, buy, eye, gleam, stream. So if the poem is having rhyme words, then definitely there is a rhyme in the poem. Students, before telling you about the rhyming of this poem, let us first understand what is a rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme is nothing but the order of rhymes at the end of the line or poem or the verse. See, in poem, in the first line, the last word of the first line should rhyme with the second line or the third line. So we have to name the last word of each line with the alphabet. We have to give the alphabet. If the last word of the first line is rhyming with the second line, immediately the second line of the last word, then we have to name it with the same alphabet. But if the last word of the poem, or last word of the line rhyming with the third line, last word in the third line, we have to name it the same alphabet. Example, here in this poem, slowly, silently, now the moon walks the night in her silver shoe. So here the moon and shoe they are rhyming. So we will give the same alphabet to both. A A. This way and that she pairs and sees. Silver fruit upon silver tree. Sees trees again rhyming. So we'll give as B. Now the second stanza is also the same way. Cat, cat, log, dog. So the first two stanzas of this poem, the rhyme scheme of the first two stanzas of this poem is A A B B. But the final stanza, the last stanza is A B A A B B C C. The first four lines added to that stanza. So we have to give that C C. So the rhyme scheme of this poem is A A B B for the first two stanzas, and the last stanza is A A B B C C. This is the rhyme scheme of the poem Silver. So yes. So
Yes.
here we end the poem. Yes, Almas teacher, you are saying.